What's up, girly? I got a really exciting PR package I want to share with you today, and I'm gonna give you one hint. Kim Kardashian.
I did go to the bathroom a few times and snap a nude.
Most of us have kids, or at the very least have been kids once. So when something happens that could affect children, it naturally hits close to home. Let me introduce you to Michael Duvall. He's a TikToker, an fans creator, and a social media influencer. He also works as a daycare teacher somewhere in the United States. Now, his sexuality isn't the issue here. That's not what this is about. The problem is how he behaves at work. Michael has been caught doing things that make people seriously question his judgment. We're talking about taking nude photos at school, even filming wild dance content while on the clock. And most times, this happens at the daycare where he's supposed to care for little kids. Naturally, parents and pretty much anyone who cares about kids are worried. And honestly, who can blame them? This video goes into everything about these strange situations. We're not here to sensationalize it. We're just going to be real about what's going on and why so many people are rightfully upset. For those who don't know who he is, here's an introduction from the horse's mouth.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm 24. I live alone. I'm single. I like all things pink and girly, but I'm a boy. I identify as a boy. Like, I don't want anything else.
There isn't a whole lot out there about Michael's background. Aside from his name and age, the internet's pretty quiet. But as we get further into this video, you'll get a clearer picture and maybe even form your own opinion about the kind of person he is. What we do know is that he's managed to build a pretty big platform for himself. On TikTok alone, he's got over 800,000 followers and 57 million likes. So yeah, people are watching and engaging his content. Michael started out pretty strong on TikTok. He was making the kind of fun, lighthearted videos his followers enjoyed, and for a while, things were going pretty smoothly. He wasn't getting into any trouble, and people liked what he was putting out there. But then things changed. He started doing some, let's just say, questionable stuff, and that's when the drama started. We'll get into all that a bit later, but trust me, it's wild. For now, let's take a look at what Michael's day-to-day life looks like. Here's how his unusual routine goes.
I'm always going to do my makeup before work because if I don't look my best, I'm not going to feel my best. I got to take some iced coffee with me. Right now, this Dunkin' brownie iced coffee is so freaking good. Got to get some snacks for the morning, and then I'm ready to get my outfit together.
So when Michael talks about getting ready for work every morning, he's talking about the daycare, the place where he's responsible for watching over little kids. Every day he follows a routine and brings his fans along for the ride in his videos, or at least that's what he says he's doing. From getting dressed, fixing his hair, grabbing a coffee and heading out the door, it all seems pretty normal. It's just another regular day in the life of a daycare teacher.
Take this time to get my classroom together and set up their breakfast. Only like 4 kids came for breakfast. After breakfast, I take them to the potty. Then we come back in the classroom and I let them play in whatever center they want to do. Go out to my car and I chill for the 10 minutes and then I come back and we're ready for circle time. I did not record circle time, but that's like me showing it. We're learning about Sandy Beach.
Most people might not catch this right away, but there's something in this video that stood out to me. He showed the kids in his class, little ones, playing with puzzles and stuff. When you really think about it, it doesn't sit right. I'm not sure what the rules are at his daycare or in his state, but it honestly feels unethical to film kids like that and post it online for strangers to watch, whether their faces are visible or not. These aren't his kids, they're someone else's children, and they have a right to privacy. Using them for engagement and entertainment is wrong. Given that most of the parents might not be on TikTok or that their feed doesn't show Michael's content, they might not even know something like this is happening at school with their children. For someone working in a place full of young, impressionable kids, Michael really should have been more careful. All it takes is one slip up, and people are going to start throwing around some very serious labels. And once that kind of reputation sticks, there's no coming back from it, especially when he makes this type of suggestive video at work. He even sometimes goes as far as showing how he sets up his closet.
What's up, girly? We are starting spring cleaning early. I feel like I haven't been that motivated lately, so cleaning out my closet will definitely help clean out my mind. I've been cluttering up this closet ever since I moved in here. I do not have enough space to display everything I would like to display, but I figured let's move most of it out the way so that way I can go ahead and display the things that mean the most to me. And now this ain't no large walk-in closet, which I do want one day, but my closet is really unique and it's a lot bigger than the ones that I had at the trailer. So I want to make the most out of it and I do want to make it cute. As you recognize this side table from my old couch, I decided to utilize it in the closet. And this little part for my shoes. What's up, girly? Check out these Converse. pairs I ordered online. They were Valentine's Day edition. They are so cute, you guys. I have to show you this right here. I am like actually obsessed with these. We're gonna do a little try on. I already tried on one, but we're gonna try both of them on, see how they look with this cute little jacket. Here's how the shoes look. I think they honestly look so cute. This is what they look like with shorts. I don't have any other socks, so I would need to get some socks that don't show. But I don't know. I don't even think the Nike is too ugly, but I think, yeah, some plain socks would look better. But it looks really good.
That looks weird, like a Barbie setup if you ask me. But hey, it's his decision and he can do what he wants. But here's where we might have some problems. There was a time when teachers, whether they worked in daycare, high school, or even college, were seen as role models. They set an example for the kids they looked after, not just with what they taught, but how they carried themselves. But nowadays, things are starting to look different. I mean, how do you expect to correct a child for using bad language when you, the teacher, are proudly calling yourself a bad bee online? Sure, maybe the kids he teaches are too young to own a phone or scroll through TikTok, but that's not the point. It's more about the image. It's just wrong for someone in his position to be posting that kind of content, especially when you're supposed to be the adult in the room, the one kids and their parents are supposed to trust. Whether or not the kids ever see it, it still matters. This is the kind of person Michael is. While Michael was out there having the time of his life, completely unaware of the storm that was heading his way, he was casually making some pretty offensive content for his OnlyFans page. And what made it disturbing wasn't what he was filming, it was where he was filming it. He wasn't just making adult content, he was making it in a place where kids are supposed to be safe. A daycare, a school. There's a time and a place for everything, and Michael clearly hasn't figured that out yet. That reply from the gay pretty boy account, that's Michael's profiles. And what did he say? That there's nothing wrong with getting hard at work. In his context, that right there tells you everything you need to know about how his mind works. He genuinely doesn't see the issue.
The women seem very jealous that they can't be as pretty as me or have the pretty things that...
Now just imagine this for a second. Your child's daycare teacher, the person you trust to care for your little one every day, is out here making illicit videos of himself, looking off in front of the camera. We're talking full-on NSFW content, filmed for his fan subscribers. And then there's the part where he says women are jealous of him. Jealous of what exactly? I can't think of a single reason why any woman would look at this situation and wish they were in his shoes. There's nothing admirable or enviable about putting yourself in a position where you're one scandal away from losing everything. He's gotten so caught up in his online persona that he's lost touch with reality. At this point, it's clear he's in way over his head. And here's what I genuinely don't get. Why are people paying Michael real money just to watch him show his a-hole on camera? What's the appeal? What's so special about that? Because from where I'm standing, there's nothing impressive going on there. And the worst part, he didn't even do this kind of content in the privacy of his own home. He did it at school. You can literally hear other teachers talking in the background while he's stripping and filming himself. It's reckless. Michael's behavior is weird and pathetic. There's no other way to put it. Now, some people might try to defend him. They'll say, maybe it was just a mistake, or you can't really blame him that much. He probably didn't mean to do it at work. They might argue that it wasn't a conscious mistake, that it happened and it's not something he normally does. But when you see posts like this on his OnlyFans, someone snap me while I'm at work. That one sentence says it all. It's proof that Michael knew exactly what he was doing. This wasn't some random slip-up or a moment of poor judgment. He understands that filming in places like a school or a hospital or any other respectable environment adds a kind of thrill for some of the people watching him. He's playing into that on purpose because he knows it grabs attention, and more attention means more money. So no, this isn't some innocent accident. It's not unconscious, it's calculated, and that makes it really bad. As if everything we've talked about so far wasn't enough, days after the previous post, Michael took things even further in August of 2022. He posted another photo to his OnlyFans. A fan of his might shrug and say, well, he's an erotic content creator on OnlyFans, what do you expect? And sure, in that context, you'd think that kind of content would be expected. but he took that picture at the school he works at. Many believe it was taken in a kid's bathroom, an actual restroom meant for children. That's apparently his go-to spot for filming his content. And if you're still thinking maybe he didn't realize it was wrong, the caption says it all. He wrote, "I shouldn't be doing this." That alone proves he knew it was crossing a line. He knew it was inappropriate. He chose to do it anyway for the thrill, for the shock factor, and for the attention it would bring to his page, completely disregarding the safety and innocence of the kids around him. The same goes for this one too. That same toilet? Yeah, it's not just a 1 or 2 time thing. It's actually his favorite spot for filming his content. He's used it more than once. And one of the worst examples came mid in 2022 when he posted a video with the caption, "Did you see the fly out? Ugh." And sadly, yes, you can spot it if you zoom in. How can anyone feel comfortable doing that in a bathroom meant for kids? A place where little children go every day, trusting that they're in a safe and clean environment. The fact that he keeps going back to that same spot makes it clear this isn't some one-time lapse in judgment. It's a pattern. Once people started noticing the pattern, all hell broke loose. Look, people might be willing to overlook a lot of things, but when it comes to kids, that's where the line is, and people will go to war over it. The backlash came fast. They took to every platform they could find to call Michael out. From TikTok duets to full-blown YouTube exposés, the internet lit up. But the most brutal takedown came from Reddit. And if you know Reddit, you know they don't hold back. The threads were relentless. People dug up receipts, shared screenshots, and didn't stop until it hit a boiling point. It got so bad that Michael had no choice but to respond. He made a video trying to address all the allegations being thrown at him.
Known about this community on Reddit that's been trying to tear me down, but I've purposely avoided it for my mental.
Now, Michael might have tried to play the "I'm ignoring it for my mental health" card at first. But if it was really about protecting his peace, why wait until everything got out of control to finally speak up? Why only say something after the internet had already exploded? So what changed? What finally pushed him to respond? Well, it turns out the backlash hit closer to home than he expected. Some of the trolls, fed up with being ignored and watching him dodge accountability, decided to take matters into their own hands. They tracked down Michael's mom and sent her the allegations directly. They dragged the whole thing to his family's doorstep. And that was the tipping point. That's when Michael finally came out with a video addressing the situation. Not because he felt guilty, not because he wanted to clear the air, but because the fallout was now messing with his real life.
Messaging my mom and sent her like screenshots of this page and stuff. And they're saying on this page that they know me personally. And based on this information, they do. But they're straight up lying about me, like straight up.
To be fair, Michael did admit that the people spreading the information about him online actually knew who he was. He even acknowledged that they had his personal details, his address, his family's address, and other things that only someone who really did their homework would have. So that alone tells you something. There was real research behind what they were saying. And if they were sending these same details and accusations to his mom, chances are they weren't sending baseless rumors. But of course, despite all of that, Michael still chose to deny everything. He brushed it all off as lies and smear campaigns, even though there was solid evidence floating all over the internet. Screenshots, captions, videos, receipts that pretty much spoke for themselves.
Talk about it on here, but let's just go back to the top. They're saying that they know me personally, which they do. And so let's read this. His mother is Lottie, his sister's name is Christina, who dates a woman named Kai, which they spelled wrong. His older sister is Tiffany, don't know how to spell it, and his ex's name is Lopez. This word gets interesting. Real name is TJ, which is a very important detail that not a lot of people would.
He's trying to find ways to invalidate the piece that was done on him, even going as far as pointing out that the names weren't spelled right.
Sure, he's still not. They broke up, but he used to be. They broke up because Michael was extremely controlling and was trying to beat the crap out of TJ. Lies. Complete lies. They were fighting completely naked in the trailer he currently lives at, and Lottie's boyfriend at the time, Sean, came over to stop the fight. We never fought. We did fight on the day we broke up. Sean and my dad came. No one.
This was based on the issues Michael had with his ex-boyfriend. Their relationship didn't end well, and Michael took it upon himself to share this story with people online some time ago. I'll be sharing a video where he talked about this in a later section.
Straight lies. So like, ask me anything, I could tell you about him. So then they say, do you know Lopez's significant other, which is like this trans girl? And they said, somewhat, I do know them. Forgive me, I'm not aware of their pronouns, but I do know them. Their father is sick in the head right now, so they're moving to a different city in Kentucky. I don't know if he's talking about Lopez or the new girl, but then they talked about joining the Discord, and this is where it gets real interesting. There was a Discord invite link, and I clicked it, and I started to join it, and I see names like Josie, and I don't even know, but I got banned from it so quickly, and now I can't go back to it. I even tried to make another account, but like that link doesn't work anymore. And then, because I'm just trying to figure out who this is, because Michael's biggest narc on Reddit is someone who apparently knows me and tells straight up lies about me. Straight up lies. So
it's clear now that the pressure from the people exposing him is starting to get to Michael. The constant digging, the receipts, the attention, it's all chipping away at him. And you can see it in how he's suddenly trying to clarify things that no one even asked about at first. And to think he said that every single thing written about him in the entire Reddit thread is a lie? Honestly, it just shows how dishonest he is. He only admitted that they got the names of people around him right, but come on. At least some of the info they shared has to have some truth in it. He started bringing up a fight that supposedly happened between him, his dad, and his ex-boyfriend. Then he randomly made a clarification about the fact that he still lives with his mom, but helped out by paying a part of the rent. He even addressed an assault allegation that had been floating around, trying to downplay it like it was no big deal.
Where the gag is, and like it's got 12 upvotes, and I mean there's like 3,000 people in this group, and each post has like anywhere from 5 to like 15 likes. And so they're saying like, now you're saying Michael was controlling, and ignore me, I'm like bloated, I like can't even talk right now. Michael was controlling in his last relationship. Do you know if it's true that his ex abandoned the fish with him? Or like, because I haven't mentioned that. When me and my ex broke up, oh my god, I've never shared the story, said I didn't want people to like look at me differently. We got into a huge fight. He had horrible anger issues. We get into fights all the time. This was never once on me. Now on that last fight, did I give him a black eye, like bite him and squeeze his? Yeah, because he was actively trying to kill my fish, and then goes to say he's going to kill my cats and all this. So I call the man across the street, my dad, who gets over, and Lopez's mom comes and picks his ass up. And I haven't really seen him since, but he did used to give me weed for a while, but he would like drop it off at my house when I wasn't here, so we weren't really like talking or nothing.
Imagine saying all this out loud. You bit someone in the face, squeezed his then called your dad to come finish the job, and you still expect people to see you as the victim? Come on now, Michael. How does any of that fall on your ex? Sure, maybe the guy said something dumb about harming your fish, but let's be real, he never actually did it. Words don't justify violence, especially not to that extreme. Right now, the only person who's actually done anything physical, the only aggressor in this whole story is you, Michael. And the fact that you're twisting this around and trying to paint yourself as the one who's wronged, that's delusional and manipulative. It's shocking that you really think people are going to buy that.
Said Michael's biggest narc, who apparently knows me personally, knows every detail about my life, says Michael threatened to flush the fish down the toilets. And then people are like, that's awful. He acts like such a savior. They're like, what the No, that is such a crazy lie. Threatened to I would never, like, okay, and it's weird that they say that, because the detail is he literally tried to kill my fish and knock over my fish tank. Everyone who knows me knows this story, and I've never shared it online because like it gets so dark that I didn't want people to know all that stuff.
And that's the real problem with hearing just one side of the story. We can't know for sure if Michael is telling the truth or just changing things to fit the version of events that make him look better. From the very start of his video, he's been trying to paint himself as the victim, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he bent the truth or lied just to make his whole story more believable. When someone has a track record of reckless behavior, manipulative posts, and a complete lack of accountability, it's hard to take their word at face value. Despite his effort to reduce the heat coming his way, this video didn't make things any better. So he went ahead to post another video on his TikTok page.
There's this quote by Oscar Wilde I stumbled upon. It says, "Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future." Beautiful, isn't it? A reminder that we're all unfinished stories, scarred by our mistakes, yet redeemed by the hope of what's to come.
So after everything, the backlash, the Reddit threads, and the videos, Michael's big response is to sit back and post a dramatic voiceover with some inspirational music in the background. No real apology, no accountability, just vibes. Basically, the message he's trying to push is this: even if people see me as a sinner, I still have a bright future. And for those calling him out, he's implying that they're just saints with a past, as if their own mistakes somehow cancel out the fact that he's actively doing something wrong right now. Somewhere along the line, Michael came out to make a video regarding his job at the daycare.
Harder, especially because here, after today, I'll be vlogging a lot more often and able to post on YouTube a lot more often. I've hinted at it just a little bit, but I put in my 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago today at my job. So today is my last day working in.
So turns out Michael won't be working at the daycare anymore. A lot of people didn't buy the way it was presented though. The general feeling is that the school probably took a major hit for allowing someone so irresponsible to be around kids in the first place, and that pressure may have forced them to finally let him go. But of course, Michael is trying to make it look different. He's making it sound like he left on his own terms, like he handed in a notice and walked away by choice. But we can't say for sure right now. Whether he quit or got pushed out, one thing is clear: he's out. And maybe that's the first step toward making sure people like him don't get the chance to do stuff like that again in the future. And then out of nowhere, he started crying about the whole job issue.
Hope I didn't make a mistake. Things have been so hard since like August, and half my kids left. Pretty self-explanatory. I started taking off on social media. Everything I do pays the bills. I used to get so angry. I was a teacher for over 4 years. It's not for the weak. Fully hit me until I got home. What am I supposed to do?
It really doesn't take a genius to figure out that those were just crocodile tears. Just listen to the way he sounds while crying. It's terrible acting. Anyone who takes that seriously either hasn't been paying attention or is just beyond gullible. He claims he's heartbroken because he misses making the kids smile. Says it wasn't about the money. And sure, technically that's true. He's been a teacher for over 4 years, long before his online fame. In the beginning, that daycare paycheck probably did matter because he wasn't making much money from social media yet. But once he blew up online, the money from that daycare was pocket change compared to the sponsorship deals, fans' earnings, and the benefits of being internet famous. So no, it wasn't about the kids. The idea that he stayed because he loved them is just another lie. The reason he kept that job was because the school became part of his brand. He's always up in the morning vlogging, talking about getting ready for work and how capable he is when it comes to taking care of the kids. And don't forget the kids' bathroom. That was his filming location. The staff room, a spot to flash himself for subscribers. Without being a teacher, how else was he going to keep selling the whole "I'm filming this while at work" fantasy? He didn't stay for the kids, he stayed for the content.
I have a lot of plans. Sorry, this is gross. I'm an ugly crier. The reason I don't want to tell anyone I come across as just another person who started making money online. I wanted to quit for so long. I just never thought that it would hurt so bad whenever I finally got to leave. Every day I was yelling, losing my patience. Everyone can understand it. I hope you understand why I had to put all this in the video, because I feel like we're closer than that. Why not tell TikTok for a while? I don't want to tell them for a while. I haven't even told my family, and I don't want to. And if you're my family or you're someone close to me and you watch this, like, please just let me show myself in the world for a little bit that I can do this. I'm not gonna change like at all, and this hurts me. I wish that.
It's just annoying to watch him cry. The fake tears, the forced sniffles, it's painful in all the wrong ways. But the editing of his videos exposes him even further. I don't know if you caught it, but the effort the editor put into making that video look more presentable is wild. There are constant cuts and skips, like almost every 5 seconds the video jumps, which only means one thing. The original footage must have been way worse than what we ended up seeing. And that's saying a lot, because even the edited version is bad. It really makes you wonder, what did they cut out? What was so bad, so unwatchable, that it didn't even make it into the final version? If this was the cleaned up version, I can't even imagine how bad the raw one was.
Interaction, any type of interaction was at work, and most of the time it was with kids. And now I have nothing. Me and you, my cats, and my 2 fish. I'm not worried about income. I'm not worried about making money. I know I can make money. I know I can probably make more money now that I can focus 8, 9, 10 plus hours a day. It's just the living and the change, all the fears for the future. Telling myself that anything that I fear can't come true. I have to do great. Cat, stop.
Creators like Michael really do treat their audience like complete dimwits. Like there's just no respect for the intelligence of the people watching. How can someone be bawling their eyes out, talking about how heartbroken they are, and then suddenly laugh at the end? Make it make sense. It's either he's mentally unwell, or he seriously thinks his viewers are just plain stupid. I can't tell which one it is, but what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on all this. Because this guy's either trolling us all, or he genuinely believes his own nonsense. People saw through this video and it didn't help Michael in any way, so he decided to make a video to respond to all the allegations leveled against him.
What's up, girly? I just had 2 really sweet girls from a church come knock on my door, and they pretty much said, like, do you remember requesting to learn about the word of Jesus? And so I just said no, but I have a lot of followers. I'm getting a lot of hate right now, so that's who sent you. And they were really nice, really understanding, and then they went on their way. But I figure we need to address it, or else people will never know.
Michael kicked off his video by talking about how he's been treated by haters and trolls. Apparently, some women showed up at his door to talk to him about Jesus. From what he said, it seems like these women were sent there by someone else, most likely the trolls. Now, I don't know exactly what they were trying to achieve by doing that. Maybe they thought that hearing the word of Christ might make him turn over a new leaf. Or maybe they knew he wasn't a practicing Christian and just wanted to mess with him by sending religious folks to his doorstep. Either way, it feels like a weird move. Honestly, there are better ways to approach a situation like this. All they really did was waste these ladies' time. Time they could have spent helping someone who actually wanted to hear from them. They only went to his house because they believed he was seeking something. But turns out he wasn't. Also, it's not going to change anything. Michael probably just told them to leave and went right back to doing his usual content. Stuff like that might look bold, but it doesn't really do anything meaningful.
Will never know my story. I've never been great at words, so that's why there's going to be cuts in this, but I guess let's just start from the very beginning. And 2020 is when I made my hands, and I wasn't very successful on it, and I was unemployed, and I didn't really post a whole lot. So I had it in 2020, used it for like probably not even a year, and then I dropped it.
If Michael was unemployed in 2020 when he first started his account, then he likely got his daycare job sometime in 2021. That lines up with his claim of working there for 4 years, as he mentioned in a previous video. It was around this time that he met his ex-boyfriend. Their relationship, as chaotic as it was, didn't last long at all, just another typical example of Michael's life.
And so in 2021 about is when I met my ex-fiance, and we got engaged in 2022, and we also broke up in 2022. But I would say that this whole fan story starts from when we were still together. So while we were still together, we were very much struggling with like sex and like just having that appeal with each other. So one thing he suggested to kind of get us going was for me to restart my fans. And then if I was making money from what we were doing, we would be like more motivated to do it more often.
I've got to be honest, I don't really believe some of what Michael is saying. And I'll show you exactly why in just a moment. In this part of the video, Michael starts painting his ex as some overly sexual person who loves to explore all kinds of things. Then he tries to tie that into the idea that restarting his fans account was his ex's suggestion. It sounds more like a weak attempt to shift blame rather than take ownership of his own choices. And guess what? His ex wasn't having it. In response to Michael's comments, he actually made a post to clear the air and set the record straight, because apparently what Michael said in this video wasn't the full truth. According to his ex, he wasn't the one who pressured Michael into restarting his OnlyFans account. He made it clear that while he did benefit from it, both financially and sexually, he never pushed Michael to go back to it. And honestly, I believe him. Sure, it's possible that he gave Michael some advice here and there, maybe helped him figure out what kind of content would attract more subscribers. But the decision to restart the account, that feels like it was all Michael. It lines up with everything else we've seen from him. He's calculated and he knows what sells. What I also respected was that his ex took accountability for his own mistakes. He didn't try to pretend he was perfect, but he also made sure to tell the truth about how abusive Michael was during their last fight before they broke up. And that part, it fits perfectly with what I mentioned earlier about how messy and short-lived their relationship was. The signs were always there. This is actually a common problem a lot of people face in relationships, the inability to recognize when it's time to let go, or when the relationship is just a disaster waiting to happen. Out of desperation to make things work or to meet the other person's needs, people start doing things they won't normally do. They make sacrifices, change who they are, and stretch themselves thin just to keep the other person happy. But here's the thing. When one person keeps compromising while the other doesn't offer any real appreciation or understanding in return, it creates emotional tension. Resentment starts to build, and eventually everything explodes. The relationship ends in chaos and bitterness, when in reality, it could have ended more peacefully if both people had just faced the truth earlier. That's exactly what happened with Michael and his ex. Their story is a perfect example of what happens when people ignore the signs and try to force something that's already broken. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this can relate. If you've ever been in that kind of situation, you know exactly how it feels.
After the 3 months weren't really doing much for us, it just got to a point where he would hook up with people and it was okay if we saw other people pretty much. I never did it, but he did it a lot of times. I said no whenever he first suggested that I start my hands, and then it was a lot of convincing. So then I started it again, and then it was a lot of convincing for the 3 months. It was a lot of convincing for the doing it with other people, and then it got to
The real problem in Michael's relationship with his ex was simple. They wanted different things. They weren't on the same page about how they wanted to live their lives, and that kind of mismatch is a recipe for disaster. Michael's ex seems like the kind of person who would have been better off with someone who's comfortable with open relationships and more willing to explore certain fantasies without judgment. On the flip side, Michael probably would have done better with someone who's more grounded, more reserved, someone who's all about that monogamous, committed lifestyle. But instead of finding people who match their values, they tried to make it work with each other. And when that kind of fundamental disconnect exists, no matter how much effort you put into it, the relationship is bound to fall apart.
Anyways, now a lot of people know why we broke up. He was very much abusive. He had anger issues. I mean, not just physically abusive, but mentally abusive. And the thing is,
this is where I have to disagree with Michael. Because if you read the earlier posts from his ex, you'll know that he firmly denied ever being physically abusive. He did admit that he yells a lot, likely due to his anger issues, which, let's be honest, Michael probably provoked more than once. But yelling isn't the same as being physically abusive, and his ex was very clear about that distinction. He made it a point to say the only time things got physical was when he pushed Michael after Michael tried to squeeze his nuts. And honestly, most people would react if someone did that to them. So for Michael to twist that and try to paint his ex as some violent, abusive person, it's unfair. Especially when his ex is taking accountability for his part, while Michael keeps trying to rewrite the story to make himself look like the victim.
was I living a happy life? No, I was completely miserable, and we ended up breaking up anyways. And after we broke up was whenever I really started going down. So after we broke up, I just started living on my own for the first time ever. And I was already doing kind of well for my fans from us posting content together. I had like 360 subs, which is a lot of money.
Like I said earlier, in any failed relationship, there's usually plenty of blame to go around. And while we've heard Michael's ex owns up to some of his faults, what we haven't heard is Michael doing the same. Up to this point, he hasn't taken responsibility for anything. He hasn't said, here's where I messed up, or here's what I've learned, or even acknowledged that maybe he was part of the problem, and that's a huge red flag. Let's not forget, this video is supposed to be his response to all the heat he's getting, not just from trolls, but from people genuinely concerned about his inappropriate behavior while working at a daycare. That's what everyone wanted to hear about. That's what people were waiting for. Maybe he's saving the good stuff for the end. That's a common content creator tactic. Leave the most anticipated part for the last to keep people watching, boost engagement, and rake in those views. But when you're supposedly making an apology or addressing serious accusations and you're still playing algorithm games, it really makes you wonder, is any of this even genuine?
Now, growing up how I did, it's no shock that I was really excited seeing all this money that was coming in. And so I tried really hard. I posted hundreds, if not thousands of times a day in so many Reddit pages, on my hands, on my Twitter, just stuff like that. And as you know, I was working as a preschool teacher, technically pre-K, pre-kindergarten. And so I had a lot of free time at work where I would post on those apps. I did go to the bathroom a few times and snap a A lot of the reason why I did that was because I was getting paid by people, and now when I said that, people thought I was getting paid by, like, I don't know if you could say this word, PDF.
Eventually, Michael started addressing the main issue. He talked about how he got started on fans and why he chose to make most of his content while at school. His reasoning? He claimed it was simply because he had a lot of free time while on the job. That might have been believable in the beginning. Maybe at first it was just about convenience, but over time it clearly became part of the act. Filming at school, in the staff room, or the bathroom, that became his brand. Even if he had the option to shoot content elsewhere, doing that would have meant stepping away from what sells and what attracted his subscribers in the first place. And then there's the issue of the pictures he was selling. If I remember correctly, they were going for around $40 a pop. But what really pushed people over the edge was the claim that he was selling these to PDFs. Michael found that absurd and offensive. But let's be honest, people had their reasons for thinking that way. He's made multiple posts on his fans openly hinting that he's filming in a school bathroom. Now ask yourself, who exactly would get excited by that? Most normal people would find it disturbing, inappropriate, gross. But those kinds of people, that's exactly the kind of content they look for. So while Michael might act surprised by the accusations, he knows exactly the kind of audience he's catering to. And that's what makes the whole thing even more uncomfortable.
You know what I'm trying to say. People thought I was catering to them, and now with some of those Reddit groups I was in, I should not have been in. They were definitely like dad, son, trans girls. I got kicked out of a lot of groups for like not even fitting the criteria. And it was definitely weird, but when you're in sex work, I don't know. I was just too blinded by the money that was coming in. I know that's no excuse.
And that's exactly what giving excuses looks like. Even before Michael reached the level of fame he has now, back when he was just getting a few dozen, maybe hundreds of subscribers, he was already promoting his OnlyFans page on Reddit and some other platforms. But he didn't last long on Reddit. He got kicked out of those communities because, let's be honest, people rightfully found it disturbing that he was creating that kind of content in a daycare setting. That should have been his wake-up call. That should have told him that what he was doing wasn't okay. But instead of stopping, Michael kept pushing forward. He ignored everything, ignored the criticism, and just kept going. And now his excuse is that he was blinded by the money. No, he wasn't blind. Not at all. He just didn't care until people forced him to care. If nobody had called him out, he would have kept doing it without thinking twice. That's not being blinded. That's being willfully ignorant and unapologetically selfish.
So then fast forward to the day I took my first shoot at work. I honestly don't remember it, but I do remember that I would get paid like, say, $45 to take a picture. They'd say, go take it, and I would. Now, I never did any of this while clocked in. I wasn't allowed to have bathroom breaks like that unless it was an emergency, of course. So when I was in the bathroom, I was upstairs, classrooms were downstairs, I was far away from everyone in the teacher's bathroom that was locked. That's another thing people are confused about because they see that the toilets had like little training seats on it, and there was 2 toilets in the bathroom, which was kind of weird. And I think like originally a long time ago, those were kids' bathrooms and we would use them in an emergency, but for the most part, those were for the teacher.
All right, fine, let's take his word for it. Let's say, for argument's sake, that he made those videos in the teacher's bathroom. Does that somehow make it okay? Maybe it softens the blow just a little, but it's still wrong. It's still the same building, the same environment, the same school where children are present. Making adult content in that setting is unethical, no matter which door he walked through to do it. Also, Michael's a grown man. He's fully capable of lying to save face. Saying it was the teacher's bathroom could just be another calculated move to make it seem less disturbing, to make people less inclined to criticize him. Whether it was the kid's bathroom or the staff one, it doesn't change the fact that it was filmed at work, in a school, around children. And no clever wording is going to make it sound better.
Teachers. I'm not excusing anything I did. There's definitely no excuse, but I do just want to say that it would have happened at that time at any job I worked at. If I was working at the movie theater, still would have happened there instead.
If Michael had been working at, say, a movie theater as he suggested, or some random job, and made that kind of content in the staff bathroom, no one would have cared this much. It might have been weird, sure, but there wouldn't be a need to make a whole video breaking it down. No outrage, no headlines, no serious concern. But that's not where he worked. He was employed at a daycare. That's why it matters. That's why people are talking. And yet somehow Michael still doesn't seem to see the issue. The job mattered, and that's what makes everything he did so much worse.
Everything's so much more worse. I didn't even fully remember anything until people went on my fans and they found it for me, and a lot of people are saying that I'm still getting paid for those posts or that they're still up, but they're not. I took those down already. And if you go to my OnlyFans, you'll see I have thousands and thousands and thousands of posts, and I scrolled so far as much as I could to find them all, and it was probably like 4 or 5 different posts. There's no reason or excuse I shouldn't have waited till I got home. I guess I was just too focused on the money, and at that time I hadn't started my social media career, or maybe I just started it, but I was really focused on the success I was getting on and all the money I was earning, and I used that money to start my shopping vlogs, and that's how I got started on social media full-time. But I didn't become full-time overnight. It took me over a year to start accumulating money like that, and then to start being successful on social media. Should I have done it? No. It was gross. It doesn't excuse anything, but at the same time, I hate when people call me names when I know it's not true, or people assume that I was doing stuff that I wasn't doing just because it was at a daycare. Where it was had nothing to do with what I was doing or what I was putting out.
This part of the video actually did sound like a genuine apology. It was probably the most honest moment Michael had, and if he'd started the video with something like this, taking responsibility, showing some form of real remorse, it would have made a huge difference. But he didn't. Instead, he opened with a long list of excuses that likely turned a lot of people off before they even got to the apology. Some probably clicked away frustrated, annoyed, or tired of hearing him dodge the real issues. When you bury the apology under layers of deflection and self-pity, it loses its power. It becomes less about taking accountability.
Those people did not know where I work. Those people did not care where I work. I remember I did post in some of those groups before, like, I'm a teacher. I was trying to have that shock factor. I was trying to have that thing that makes me kind of different. A lot of the captions and the things I would use, like, I know I shouldn't be doing this here, I would use as clickbait, because I know whenever you post like that on your hands, people can see your captions, but they can't see the stuff that you're actually.
Why would anyone use something like that for shock factor unless they knew exactly what kind of reaction it would get? Everyone knows that being a teacher means working with kids. So when you use that title in your adult content, you're not just being edgy, you're deliberately crossing a line. What kind of audience do you think a headline like that attracts? It's not your average subscriber looking for harmless fun. It's the kind of people who get off on the fact that it's tied to a school setting. That's not a mistake. It's calculated. I refuse to believe that Michael didn't know what he was doing. He knew his position as a teacher would create controversy. He knew it would lure in a particular, very twisted audience, and he leaned into that because for him, attention and money mattered more than basic common sense.
Posting. Now, my work did know about my fans. I made a video about this a while ago, how people sent my news in like a letter to my bosses, and my bosses confronted me about it, but they completely had my back. They never judged me, but they found it disgusting that there were people online who were coming after me like that, and so we did what we could to protect myself and not let.
It's very strange and scary to think that a school could find out that one of their teachers is out here opening his a-hole on camera, posting it online, and making content on school grounds, and still not immediately take action. No suspension, no termination, no accountability. Is this really how far the educational system has fallen? Because I don't know about you, but as a parent, if I found out this kind of thing was happening at my kid's school, and the school was just brushing it off, or worse, defending the teacher, I'd be furious. I'd pull my kid out immediately. No questions asked. This isn't just about personal choices, it's about where those choices are being made, in a space that's supposed to be safe. And any school that fails to see the problem or chooses to protect the adult over the well-being of the kids is just as guilty.
Let people know where I work anymore. And I know my full story, I know the truth, but that does not excuse what I did at the preschool, and that does not excuse. I also have racist tweets, which I know if I address this, people will bring that up. I have tweets from like 2014 where I said the most insane things. I said things about animals I shouldn't have said, like not sexual. And I said things about people, groups of people, black people, Asian people. I was very much unhinged and kind of wild as a kid, and I don't want to use the house I lived in as an excuse. There really is no excuse, but I do want to just let you know that the person I've been on social media this whole last few years, the person you've seen me grow into the last year specifically, that's the person who I am today. And so that's why I acted so removed from that and almost like I didn't care or something, because it was so long ago in my mind that it's not I didn't care, it's just...
Well, there's no denying it. Michael was wild back then. And a big part of why people still troll him is because he never really addressed that part of his past. He just carried on like it didn't happen. And when you leave things unchecked like that, they tend to follow you. But now that he's finally admitted to some of it, said he's working on himself, left the daycare job and is trying to move forward, maybe it's time to cautiously hope for the best. Growth is possible. People can change. We can only hope that he's truly learned from everything, and that nothing as outrageous or disturbing as this ever happens again. Because when you've been trusted to work around kids and you break that trust, there's no room for oops. There's only accountability and change.